we've covered quite a bit of Europe. It's time to go international now. And for that, to kick it off, it is my great honor to welcome our second corporate partner of this special day. It is Sanofi. And I am greeting Nadia, Ait-Aissa, and Iker, Mille, who will join us in just a moment. But let's start with Nadia. Welcome to Doc Day, Nadia.
Thank you, Iker. Thank you, Bastien, sorry. Very happy to be here today on behalf of Sanofi to celebrate the World Diabetes Day and to talk a little bit about access to education, because as you know, it's one of the main themes for the World Diabetes Day for 2022, but also for 2023. It means that if we want to be effective with education, we need to have a long-term approach. And this is where we believe that companies such as Sanofi can help to bring education across the world in order to help and improve life of people living with diabetes. And that's a very important message that we wanted to convene and to share with you today. And we are very proud to join the diabetes community today to celebrate, but also, as I said, to recognize the importance of access to education for people living with diabetes, as we know that access to education is critical for people affected by this condition, as well as for healthcare provider and their caregivers.
And Nadia, before you continue, let me just to continue this tradition of moving around the world. Can you tell us where you're dialing in from?
Sorry, that's very important. I'm dialing from France, from Paris. So,
of course, I could tell by your accent, but I was just making sure because Mirai was actually in Athens, although I know she lives somewhere else. But just making sure we keep the tradition of, getting voices from around Europe and around the world. But coming back to your topic, access to education, can you tell us what exactly Sanofi is doing to supporting not only access to diabetes care, but to education specifically, as you singled that out?
Yeah, and thank you for this, Bastien, because it allowed me to echo what Elizabeth was saying earlier, that there is a need to raise awareness of diabetes for all population, including the underserved population, through this access to education. And this is why in Sanofi, we are developing several programs that are intended to support people living with diabetes with type 1 and type 2 of all ages, in order to better understand their condition and improve their self-management. And when we talk about education, I mean, what can be better and more efficient than starting the education at early stage, meaning at school? And one of our flagship programs in Sanofi is the KIDS program that we have developed in partnership with IDF and the ISPAD. And we have João from Portugal with us today, and João has played an important role in the KIDS program and raised the flag of the KIDS program at several occasions. And just to remind that the aim of this KIDS program is to fight against diabetes stigma. We heard from the colleague from Diabetes UK how important is to fight the stigma. And this program, the KIDS program, is really about that, fighting the diabetes stigma at school and promote, of course, healthy living lifestyle and try to tackle the preventable risk factors of type 2. So I said at the beginning that education is a long-term commitment, and this KIDS program is an example of long-term commitment. We started this program with IDF and the ISPAD in 2013, so it's already 10 years. But with 10 years, what we have been able to do is that, and thanks to IDF and ISPAD strong commitment to introduce the KIDS program in over 2,100 schools that has been trained across several countries worldwide. This corresponds to an engagement of more than 340,000 children and almost 20,000 teachers around 45 countries. So I think that
20,000 teachers and 330,000 kids. That's amazing.
And and the numbers speak by itself. And the beauty of this program, in addition, is that it uses different educational resources that has been developed and translated into more than 15 languages, so that it can be understood easily at school by the children, by the schools, by the parents. So we have the Hindu version, the Polish version, the Arabic version, the Chinese version, and all those contents are aligned with the WHO recommendation.
So and it speaks to what Joao was saying in the beginning, that it's so important to have materials not only available in English, but in local languages, because otherwise they will definitely not reach the kids and also many others who might not be available to speak English all the time.
Absolutely, Bastien, and that's, I think, one of the beauty of this program is to have been able to work on that translation, because education goes with languages, and we have to go through that one. And one other point that I would like to highlight for this program is that this program has received 2 awards, one in Poland and one in India. And if you want to learn more about this program, you can go on the website for IDF under idf.org and under the kids program section, and you will find all the relevant information that you would like to have. I would like to conclude by saying that the program is currently ongoing. Mm-hmm. There are 3 new countries that are about to launch the kids program. It's Algeria, Qatar, and Colombia. So already when I speak about those 3 countries, you can see the spread of the program. And I would like to take the opportunity to thank warmly the IDF and the ISPAT for the engagement to make this happen with the support of local association, government, and local NGO for some of the country. And this is, of course, just one of our commitment to diabetes. And we acknowledge also that there are much more to do to ensure that everyone has access to education and better understand their own disease. And this is why we are looking forward to the future and continue our effort on educational effort and program to protect the future. And you will hear more a little bit of it from my colleague Iker in a few seconds.
It fits very well with this year's topic for World Diabetes Day, education to protect tomorrow. So thank you for bringing this program that Sanofi has been supporting, as you said, for a decade now, to our attention. I may be a bit biased, as I myself, of course, am a member of the IDF board, but I've seen the impact it makes. So thank you very much, Nadia. And with that, as you were just saying, thank you for joining us. And let's bring your colleague to the stage very quickly. Iker Mille from Sanofi as well. Can you tell me, like I asked all the others, where you're dialing in from, and then what does World Diabetes Day mean to you personally and to your company, to Sanofi?
Thank you, Bastien, and thank you for everyone that is joining us today. And really, really honored to be part of this celebration. So I'm also, as Nadia, I'm calling in from Paris. But I have to say that my heart is Mexican. I was born there, and I was very happy when I saw Diego Rivera behind Nadia, one of the most prominent Mexican painters. So Mexico, Paris is kind of like a bit connected here. And I think for me, it's actually quite a special day, not only because I think as part of Sanofi, we have a chance to work around diabetes. We have a chance to interact with people like you and the dedoc community and healthcare professionals and payers and journalists, all really interested around diabetes, which is always fascinating, but also because we truly have a chance to help through the medications that we manufacture, but most importantly also align with this year's theme, the part of education. And I think one of the things that I really, really enjoy the most is I work in the central office, in the headquarter office for Sanofi. But as you can imagine, not only across Europe, but basically across any major country in the world, we have offices where then we can also collaborate with those countries and say, hey, how can we go and support your local patient association? What about the trade organizations who might not have as many resources, as much heritage and knowledge? Sanofi has been around in diabetes for nearly 100 years. We're one of the first movers. You can trace Sanofi's heritage back to 1923 when insulin manufacturing really started. So that is how much knowledge it is kind of like hosted between these 4 walls and all the people working here. So we are very, very proud. It's always a huge thing. I can tell you the team here is very excited. As you can imagine, we have our own internal things around World Diabetes Day. But how we are celebrating externally is joining or aligning with the theme that IDF has brought, it's not a surprise that the IDF program that Nadia was beautifully explaining, we really wanted to make this the centerpiece of our communications this year. And of course, the number sounds impressive: 40 countries, over 300,000 kids. But you could say we could always do more. And also, one of the things we really like to do this year is to say, hey, the kids program is fantastic. The materials are evolving, but a lot of things have been done over the last 9, soon to be in 10 years. So we thought that by putting this program in the center, hopefully we could reach even more countries who might not be aware of the program, or who might not have decided to jump in and say, well, why don't we roll this program in the UK? Why don't we do it back home in Mexico, and those kind of things? So very, very proud that through a multi-social media campaign, so you can check through our different channels, we're really trying to engage with the community, with IDF, and of course with our partners in ISPAD to get kids known a little bit better, because we truly believe that access to education is one of the most critical points. And just connected with this, we are very committed to this cause. And I just wanted to, Bastian, if you allow me to give the dedoc community a bit of a hint, we recently concluded a survey that we run in Europe, so it's very, very relevant for most of your audience here, where we interviewed a bunch, over 500 adults living with type 1 diabetes, and some of some caregivers of kids with type 1. Because we truly believe that if we want to be really supportive, which is one of our missions, we need to understand as much of the condition as we can. So I don't want to say too much about this survey. We just wanted to say that results are really interesting. It is very, very centered on the physiological burden, but also on the psychological burden of living with type 1 diabetes. And I know we're working on something. Really happy about those initiatives too. Just to your audience and to the group here, stay tuned, because we are planning on bringing something next year around this survey, which is yet another thing that we are very proud of, that fits everything we do here in Sanofi.
Iker, thank you very much. You're spoiling the fun a little bit because it's something that is forthcoming, but I can of course only echo that. Stay tuned on all the Sanofi channels, but also hopefully on the dedoc channels, because we've been getting a bit of a sneak preview, and we're thinking about maybe joining in when the results of this survey will be released, hopefully early next year. Iker, thank you very much. Thank you for bringing this double focus of education and kids to the attention once more as well. Because it was mentioned, ISPAD, for those that don't know what that stands for, it's the International Society for Pediatric and Adolescent Diabetes. So for the children and young adults living with diabetes, and this is why it has been mentioned, they have been working with Sanofi and with IDF on this kids program and on some other initiative. Iker, thank you very much for joining from Paris, but Mexican at heart. And that actually fits very well for our next speaker. Again, thank you, Iker. Thank you, Nadia, for supporting Doc Day, for supporting World Diabetes Day, the kids program, and so much more.